Hi, Anna. Okay, I'm almost finished sketching my wireframes, and I'm still working on creating scenario storyboards and paper prototypes. Thanks in advance. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at your presentation, which I have up. Oh no, I closed the wrong one. Darn it. I'm so sorry. Hang on one sec. I had yours open and I accidentally closed it. So let's just open it right back up here. Here it is. All right, let me just separate that. We'll reduce this a little bit so that we can fit everything we need in the window. All right, that's looking darn good right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Waste Not app, interface development and prototyping. So in typography, one thing I want to mention here is that with this Waste Not app, this title area, I would move this to the left a little bit. The reason I said it is because right now you've got the eye aligned with this diagonal stroke here. And this negative space here kind of creates this illusion that this isn't alignment. Typically, when you have a diagonal, you want to overcompensate for that. So I would just move this a couple pixels to the left. It'll make this look like it's not, it's more aligned than this looking like it's sticking out to the left a little bit. Hope that makes sense. It's non-related, but nonetheless, this is a presentation. So I will cover all of the applicable comments in the presentation format. Good job using nice high resolution images. I think of the one of the images, which one? I think there's one that's a weak link. Here, where the heck is it? This one. This is a little green. Man, my Acrobat is just jumping around and just acting so goofy. Look at this. I can barely navigate here. Okay, this image right here is really grainy. You might consider replacing that image. Also, think of connotation in your presentation. Okay, so right now you've got this pollution here, and you're in the presentation about your Waste Not Food app. The connotation here is I think it's a little bit negative. You may reconsider the use of this image of the stacks blowing pollution into the air. It seems a little bit counterintuitive to the intent of the target audience and the problem defined by your mobile app. Do you see what I'm saying? The rest are all beautiful organic food with gorgeous colors, and that all makes sense. And then your users, so that all makes sense. But this one to me, I think is, like I said, just a little bit questionable in terms of the connotative intent of that image. Okay, good job defining the problem. Excellent, excellent. Really nice layout here too, by the way. Looks like you're using a 3-column grid. It looks like that, yeah, if that's not an even 3 columns, I would just divide this by 3 and make sure that width is 1/3. That way the spatial relationships will add up beautifully in a mathematical sense based on a 3-column grid or a variation of a 3-column grid. Solution, main features and functions. I would expound on this right here. Main features and functions. I just described to one of your classmates that in presentation format, the assumption here, and any designer while presenting work should take this assumption and just run with it in all of your presentations from now until the end of time. Assume that your viewer has no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so I think right now we were privy to the information that you posted last week. So I think what you're assuming is that we have prior knowledge here. So main features, expiration date tracker. So so if I'm brand new to this presentation, I'm going, okay, so the problem, that makes sense. The solution, expiration date tracker. What is that, and how is it related to the problem, and how is it related to the solution proposed by your app. Now, you don't have to go off here. I mean, just a couple of brief sentences describing the recipe generator, meal planner. What is it? Food waste and money times tracker. What is it? How does it work? Do you see what I'm saying? Then target market, the at-will environment conscious millennials and Gen Xers. Why? Why millennials and Gen Xers? Why are we ending this at age 54? I'd go into baby boomers here. I would. I'd go up to maybe 70. The only preclusion here, and one thing that you should include in your target market and your demographics, is that the target market is going to be computer and mobile savvy. Okay, that we know that's going to have to be a must. I mean, if you try to teach some, like the day I tried to start teaching my mom how to use a computer, at the time she was gosh, 83 or so. And she was just just lost. So I think there should be a reasonable preclusion of indicating that the target market would be someone that has relative uh, 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 familiarity, if not being completely mobile app savvy, if not definitely computer savvy, right? Ages 18 to 54, I would pop that up to about 70 or so. Working class, lower middle class, and we stop it there. Absolutely. Why? Because when you think about the target and the habits, typically folks that are above the middle class range don't typically pay as close attention to the amount of disposable income they're spending on food. The rest of us do, absolutely. I mean, we're all looking. How much do I have to spend on food this week for my family, and how can I make that go the farthest? And that's something that we all deal with. Okay, so I think that that doesn't end at 54. I think that we can take that up to maybe 70 or so, including some of the baby boomers. And salary needs, simple way to manage and reduce food waste. Again, I think I would expound on this a little bit. User-friendly, to save time and money. Target market behaviors. Gen Xers, yes, let's add to that. So right now, the assumption is that you're precluding everything other than Gen Xers and millennials. So we can just take that sub out of there and just go ahead and give a general synopsis of the behaviors and the values of the target market without trying to separate it down to millennials and Gen Xers, because as I said, I think we should really increase that target market. No Waste app, your local app, competitors, No Waste app. Again, it's really going to help to expound a little bit here. Just a little bit more information. Okay, now we've got our personas, which are based on the target market, right? In the personas, I would recommend that I think it would be more compelling in the actual I think it might be a little more compelling to include the image of the individual being represented in the persona in their professional capacity. So in other words, she's a physical therapist. Let's show a picture of a physical therapist actually practicing physical therapy. That'll make further connections to the viewer, allowing the viewer to empathize basically with the persona. Okay, so seeing her right now, it's just a portrait. It's very nondescript. Okay, we have a persona of a physical therapist. We show a picture of them actually practicing or actually working at physical therapy with a patient. It really creates a lot of connections between the needs of the individual and the offerings of the app. Okay, I know it seems minor, but it will help. Same thing here. Full-time student studying digital marketing. Show somebody sitting at a desk studying. Here, he's a journalist and a writer. Show, instead of portraits, show him in action. Okay. Also, in your personas, a little more detail again, I think. Let's try to talk about, are they single? Okay, she's a wife and a mother of two. She is, what, is she single? If so, let's get that in there. It's important. It's really, really important. So we've got a 47-year-old mother of two. That's great. We've got a 24-year-old single individual. And then we've got a 32-year-old. Let's make him divorced and dating or something like that, so that we've got three completely different scenarios associated with the persona. Okay, now I see that we end right. Oh, we've got our gorgeous wireframe sketches. Really nice. You're 6 screens deep here. You might have to include a few more sketches here. What I'd like to see is a sketch for each one of the screens for the prototype that you're going to create. And I'm going to talk about paper prototypes in just one second. Okay, so really fantastic start. Let me just jump here to my talking points. Okay, so I talked about this. I talked about expounding on the detail for this. Establish personas in at least one scenario. I recommend 3 personas, and which you've got. That's great. One scenario. If not, I think 2 scenarios would be fantastic. Scenarios are pretty easy to establish a story for the individual in user profile, but and then you want to storyboard out at least one. They're easy to storyboard too. So plus it just adds such visual engagement. So we need to establish. We need to. You've got the 3 personas. That's great. So I would say we need at least. I recommend 2 scenarios, but we need at least 1. Then we need wireframe sketches, which you have, but make sure you have your wireframe sketched out for all of the screens. Create a storyboard with the scenario. We need that, of course, right? I talked about that. And then paper prototypes, photographed and posted. Paper prototypes, there's a number of different ways of creating paper prototypes as long as they're a tangible representation of your screens. Why do we create paper prototypes? We do it for preliminary testing. So the scenario is this, and when you move into your testing stage, you'll either take pictures or it would be great to include a video of you. You got your test subject across the desk from you. You've got your paper prototypes. Okay, so you lay a paper prototype down on the desk, and you ask your test subject, okay, where would you click here if you were to want to create a profile? They would look at the screen. They've got a pointer or a pencil. They would point to where they think that they should click to create their user profile, right? 2 choices. Either they're going to get it right or they're going to get it wrong. If they get it right, you just grab the next screen that would show the user profile, show it to them, and ask them to make another choice. Okay, where would you fill in your information or whatever? How do you get back to the home page from here? How do you get to the next page? Whatever the situation is. That way, you've got only 2 choices. Either they get it wrong or they get it right, right? If they get it wrong, you got to make notes of that. And you got to make adjustments, especially if you've got 2 users that miss the same navigational element, okay? So that's how you create and collect data to use to refine and to create the next iteration of your prototype. So after your user testing, then you take all your notes and all the data, and then you would compile that into your click-through prototype, addressing the inconsistencies that are created or that are discovered in the user testing with your paper prototypes. Makes sense? Sure, of course it does. Makes perfect sense, right? You got this. All right, so those are my questions. I'm sorry. Those are my comments, Anna. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. But you're doing great. Little bit underdeveloped right now, but I presume that this is all going to be in place on Sunday. Give yourself a little bit of time for those paper prototypes because they could feasibly take a few minutes to cut them out and to assemble them to the point where you are ready to start your user testing. All right, fantastic. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, any of the above, please let me know and I'm on it. Thank you very much.